We really enjoyed putting this event on because we thought there was a gap in the market for technology. Before I come to you, what have you thought about it? Because you've been obsessed with energy kit. This is something slightly different because it's for the professional energy person rather. How have you found it?
I mean, it's been completely fascinating for me, partly from meeting all these people who are, in different fields of, I suppose, the bigger energy market, but also, people who consume lots of energy. The guy from the steelworks, there's a lot of different people here from different businesses that are clearly the one member of their industry that is obsessed and wants to put solar panels on the supermarket roof or on the post office sorting roof and wants to use electric vans, and they're hungry for information. There's an enormous interest in that field, and they're all trying to convince their bosses that this is possible and this stuff works. And I've had loads of conversations. I mean, really, a lot of people have collared me and and they're asking me kind of technical questions. They're going, really, you need to spread your net wider. But
Has that surprised you? Because obviously the domestic market people have seen, you're a bit of an evangelist for it. But has it surprised you to see that business is looking that way?
I'm very pleased. I kind of had an inkling that was going on. I've talked to lots of different businesses that are buying and selling energy in different ways, and and I think that's certainly what we're seeing develop is that a new role for the energy companies is, as much as delivering energy, it's being the trading partner between lots of different generators, and that's what the picture is changing so quickly. It's breathtaking now, because I think I felt that for a long time there was potential in this area, and there was potential in it, but it was very much potential. So I'd seen lots of graphs and illustrations, solar panels with a line that goes to factory, with a line that goes to house, and you go, yeah, I can see that might work. Well, now that stuff is happening, and there is trading going on between different people, and it's amazing how quickly you can see that developing, because the technology makes that very simple, and then affordable is the two things that are really exciting.
How about you, Gab? I mean, you've been chatting to people I know, and what are your thoughts so far?
I'm very pleased with how today has gone. I think firstly, there's been, I wanted to bring a lot of new technology, lots of case studies, because a lot of people don't know that a lot of technologies are available today. And so I've got an overwhelming amount of feedback from businesses who were saying, I didn't realize that you could do that now. I've had a lot of praise from businesses saying, I didn't realize that there was the expanse of covering the whole part of the value chain, from installing new bits of kit, managing the energy, connecting it through the Internet of Things, being able to use the data real time, putting sensors here and there. And so bringing that all together into one event has been great. Secondly, the feedback we've got in terms of some of the surveys we're doing and some of the questions, and so understanding the barriers, what are the challenges, why people can't go that next step. One of the things I've realised is that actually when you talk to some of the businesses around here, they've all done little bits, they've all touched the elephant at different parts, but bringing it all together, I've learnt a lot. We've tried to make today not about a lecture, but listening, and I've heard a lot of great little snippets around the fact that people really want battery storage, and they want it as soon as possible. 56% of the users that we polled today, the 200 large energy companies that are here, large energy users that are here, they want that quickly. A lot of the barriers that it's about communicating with senior management, that the politics is getting in the way. The cost is important, but sometimes they just can't get the message through. Lots of useful information, so I'm very pleased with the engagement.
I suppose the thing that surprised me is that when we were putting it together, how much kit is already out there, and how many kind of like great nerds are out there. I hate to use that term, but they are. In universities and companies, like when we did that Tech Tinder session, people who just almost like the old kind of Dyson thing, they're just inventing it, and yet it can come out there. So that has surprised me. I'd just like to know what you both think about this. People think we don't innovate in this country. We go and we do a bit. We're basically a kind of commerce economy.
Reseller of
exactly. Or it's all moving money around. I'm impressed by that. I don't know what you think.
So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get as many people together as possible, because I've seen little case studies here and there. But when you see all of it in one venue, all of a sudden you see, wow, actually we're doing a lot more than what we think. And I was speaking to one of the largest energy users in the country, and they themselves are saying, I didn't realize it was possible to do today. We're dabbling, but actually the real question is, how do I make it go that next step? Yeah. So I mean, I don't find...
Absolutely, no, I absolutely agree, and it is clearly a brilliant meeting place, because I've been sort of talking like mad to somebody, but then I notice over there's 3 people all going, and they're giving each other, the business cards are flying about. So the networking that's going on here
but
is
also the fact that these people are inventing these things.
Yeah.
Mad,
well, I mean, I've always felt, I've been obsessed with that for years, that this country has an amazing history of technical innovation and engineering skill, that was world leading for many years, and it's sort of in the DNA. And Scrap Heap was a great example of that. 10 years working with these funny guys that make a weird thing in their shed, and then they get the opportunity to make something and they're obsessed, but that we often haven't followed on from that. And there's something about this particular area which feels like, here's an idea, there is a market for it in this country now. It isn't that expensive for me to get this going, I just need a little bit of support here, and if I can sell, and the amount of people I've spoken to, and this goes for companies I've spoken to on Fully Charged, who have sold 150,000 units in Japan in the last year of something that's made in Basingstoke, and you think, God, we're exporting to Japan. And the same, the little wind turbine company in Stroud have sold, I don't know how many, it's in the tens of thousands of small wind turbines to farmers in Japan. They're exporting shiploads and it's completely made in Stroud. And yet Stroud has become the industrial centre. It's just extraordinary. And it's employing lots of people there, and it's, a really great success story, but somehow often under the radar.
So that's what excites me as British Gas, because it was 200 years ago that our company was created to provide heat and light to the UK during what was then the Industrial Revolution. And now we're 200 years later, where we're going through an information revolution with the Internet of Things and smart data and new technologies, innovation, and the world is changing. And so that makes it really exciting, and it's happening here in the UK. It's not in other places. This is where it's.
That was one thing I think that is important. That I was talking to one group of people from an energy distribution company, and I said, imagine if we'd come to this conference 20 years ago, and there were the big 6 energy companies, and there was one company that had done some innovation in switchgear. How exciting it would be! It would be like we'd all be there going like that. And what's happened is that there's no other way of saying it, the energy sector is energized with imagination, with new ideas, with new concepts, with new technology, and it's turned it into a completely different, it feels like a different industry.
Yes, right.
Before we end, one thing you said, which you teed up quite well, which was all about the world of the supplier is changing. And I made you gag that you're not called British Gas anymore because you're going to have to find something else to call yourself. But in all seriousness, what a supplier was, I'm a company, you give me gas, you give me electricity. That's gone, isn't it? It's all over. That world is changed because you are now having to be so many different things. But the one thing I wanted to ask is whether you feel a big company like you can still respond to this changing market.
So we're trying to.
That's the honest bit. That's good.
It. We're trying to. I don't think we can claim victory because a lot of the times, it's hard to innovate as a large industrial company, having responsibilities to millions of customers in the UK. When you execute something, you have to do it properly, otherwise you get backlash.
You've got to do the day job. You're supplying us with power.
However, it does provide us with the ability to acquire and pull through as essentially a supermarket, as a channel, new technology, which is why we invested in Panoramic Power, NIAS, NRG. We bought AlertMe, which allows us to offer Hive to customers. So we're able to facilitate that, and that's what we're doing. We're shifting away from investing heavily in upstream generation, oil and gas, etc., and now investing in customer technologies. And that's a shift we're making. We believe we'll be successful, but time will tell.
But that's interesting, isn't it, Robert? From a behemoth, if you call it, like Centrica, being big gas plants and oil rigs, are now going, hey, you're an interesting company, we're going to invest in you. Yeah. Almost the way that the sort of Microsoft, Apple, the tech companies, the tech giants have looked at things.
Well, I think it's very telling, and there's plenty of examples of it. To refer back to an area that I know, of music and television. The music industry didn't take any notice of a little kid in an attic somewhere in America that went, I can facilitate the swapping of MP3s. How innocent is that? And it totally destroyed an industry overnight. And it's fascinating to see how the energy companies that are going, oh, hang on, there's something really big happening here. Let's see what it is and see what we can do in that field. And the ones that are going, and I think there's one or two good examples in America going, we're going to sue anyone who puts a solar panel on their roof.
We want more!
Yeah, we've got to burn more coal. You know, because they are the dinosaurs, and the companies that are prepared to and there's going to be things we all do, and that's a really important part of this sector. Things that people try and it's a brilliant idea, wow, and it actually doesn't work. It's a massive, miserable failure. But there's going to be things that will change the world. You know?
Well, I think the one thing we say is definitely the future is already here, and it's going to get more exciting. Boys, thanks very much for your time.
No worries, thank you.
Cheers.